Today's ghost story is about a mother and daughter's relationship that goes beyond just the physical realm. It is about how our love goes on and how we can continue to have those connections with each other even after we've passed. Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Robbins, and welcome to Life, Death, and the Space Between. Everybody loves a good ghost story, and I know you do too. Ghost stories are your way, my listeners' way, of sharing the incredible stories of signs, synchronicities, and just magical, mystical experiences that you've had from a loved one or just the universe and the miraculousness of the universe. So if you have a ghost story to share, please do so at my website, dramyrobbins.com. Today's ghost story is about a mother and daughter's relationship that goes beyond just the physical realm. It is about how our love goes on and how we can continue to have those connections with each other even after we've passed. Sometimes the way these signs and synchronicities show up are not always how we expect them to, but they're miraculous nevertheless. With that, here's today's ghost story. My mother was my best friend, confidant, and motivator in life. Her loss affected me deeply, to say the least, and left me in a dark place. She was such a fighter and had a larger-than-life personality. She was diagnosed with breast cancer that spread quickly, and she ultimately left us in November 2020 during the pandemic. She didn't get the funeral she deserved, as we were limited to 20 people due to restrictions. I know that had the situation been different, there would have been hundreds there to pay their respects. She was beloved at work, and each year during the holiday season, she would receive these local artisanal Toffee Chocolates from a coworker. She would always split them amongst my sister and I always looked forward to this treat. I remember thinking after she passed, I will never receive those treats again from her. Well, my husband organized a secret Santa with a few neighbors in our building, and one of them gave us those exact toffees. I opened the box and burst into tears. I knew this was a gift from my mom. It had to be. They are not easy gifts to come by, and I ended up calling that neighbor and thanking her and telling her the story of my mom and these toffees. Now, this neighbor brings me these toffees each and every holiday season. Another story I wanted to share was with my mom's intervention in the sale of my parents' investment home. Before I start this story, I want to preface it by telling you my mom was a big boss and CEO of our family. She took care of everyone and sorted all the finances. She was a smart, savvy woman who we always said would make the best president. The year my mom passed away, my parents bought an investment property with the intention of renting it out and selling it in a couple years. The house was completed only 4 months after my mom passed, and my father was adamant about selling it. Even though it was my mom's wish to have it rented out, I shared the real estate listing on Facebook. I was immediately messaged by my mom's former coworker that asked if we would be open to renting it to him and his family. I ran it by my dad, and he thought about it for a few days and decided to rent it instead of selling it. The coworker was a young man with a wife and 18-month-old daughter, and they had only 2 weeks to find a new rental before being homeless. After the deal was done, he asked to talk and said, "I don't know if you'll believe this, but I have to tell you a story. I was driving and was so stressed out about our living situation. My landlord sold the house we were renting and gave us 1 month to leave. I've been looking for a home and couldn't find anything in time. I was worried we weren't going to have a place to live. Then I thought, what would Zena say to me? I heard her voice in my head saying, 'Don't worry about such silly things. You have your family, your health. Everything will work out.' And I knew it would. I came home from my drive, opened Facebook, and saw your post. I knew right then that this was your mom sending help." I got chills from this story. I knew it was my mom managing and arranging everything from beyond. She was always so involved in our lives and continued to help manage things for us, even after her passing. If you knew her, you would know this was her handiwork. My mom was a strong, loving woman who helped so many people, and family always came first. Her legacy lives on, and she will be remembered by many. I hope this story touched you as much as it means to me. Her energy was so strong, and to this day, I feel it wherever I go. Thank you again so much for sharing your ghost story. And if anybody else has a ghost story to share, please do so on my website, dramyrobbins.com. Also, please consider sharing this podcast or YouTube episode. It really means a lot to me to have you share this with people you love who you think will also love this podcast. So thank you. Like what you heard today and want to hear more? Wondering what comes next and what it all means? Head over to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere you get your podcasts and hit subscribe. Also, if you could take a minute to rate and review my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned as we continue to explore life, death, and the space between.